Zechariah 11:5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Awashai, Bashem Rakak. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, and be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners. And to the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This video is basically going to be about this book here. One dies, get another. Convict leasing in the American South from 1866, right after slavery, to 1928. It never really stopped because convict leasing is still going on with all these crooked, unjust laws that railroad Jacob into the prison systems. And as a matter of fact, let me grab the scripture. This is, I think it's Isaiah 42:22. This is Isaiah 42:22, and it reads, But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes. They are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. And the prisons are still full of Jacob, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The jails are not full of Jewish people. So so like the scripture says, the curses will be upon Jacob for a sign and a wonder. So you would know who Jacob is by the curses that was promised in Deuteronomy 28th chapter, but no one really likes to talk about that too much. And now that they do try to talk about it, they're trying to talk their way around it or by it. But this is a video called Convict Leasing in America, Unearthing the Truth of Sugarland, all right, 95. So it's going to show you, Edomites were very upset that Jacob was so-called freed because they were emancipated. And what you have to understand is that the word emancipate literally means to translate from one owner to another. So literally all Jacob did was got translated from being private slaves to being public slaves. And this whole from slavery to jail, or this highway to the prison system is nothing new. It's nothing new at all. So without any further ado,
many Americans learn about white resistance to African American freedom that followed the Civil War and the Reconstruction era. Jim Crow laws, lynchings, and the Ku Klux Klan are some of the well-known chapters of racial terrorism in U.S. history. But America is not
all done by white Christian extremists. Okay? Remember, this whole system and everything that we're talking about was put together by white Christian extremists, true terrorists.
Telling the full history. An important but little-known effort to bring back slavery after the Civil War has been passed over, left unexplained, and swept under the rug. After the Civil War devastated the South, its prison system became the testing ground for crafting a reincarnation of slavery. Convict leasing was a system in which Southern states leased prisoners to private businesses. Convict leasing criminalized and essentially...
And see, she's talking like this was a thing of the past. This is still going on today because many McDonald's and other big corporations, Walmart, Target, they all use prison labor. Hell, they even use prisons to make the license plates for here in America. And remember, the majority of the people in prison is Judah. Then right after them is the Northern Kingdom. All right. But the funny thing is that because of the opioid and meth problems, which is really Edomite problems, their numbers are starting to catch up. So the curse is truly outfalling upon them. But let's let her proceed.
Enslaved black men, women, and even children who had been deemed free and equal by the Constitution's 13th Amendment. Yes, the 13th Amendment outlawed slavery. except as a punishment for crime. This was a big loophole.
Yeah.
Unfair laws called the Black Codes, harsh policing, white vigilante actions, and lack of due process in court all led to convictions.
Said like that's a big thing now. I've been going through. I have a lawsuit that's sitting in front of a judge. I've actually beat their system with their own system, and instead of giving me the due process by actually judging the matter, the judge is just letting it sit in the queue. It's been sitting in the queue for 2 years. I've never heard of anything like this in all my life. So that's the thing with Esau, Edom. When you do beat them, they just change the rules of the game. You know, it's like a spoiled kid playing a game. You know, it changes as they go.
Then the convicts, who were often completely innocent, were turned over to a system of labor exploitation. They were forced to work from sunup to sundown in order to pay off the fines for their supposed crimes. African Americans were the vast majority of convict leasing's victims. Those who leased the convicts often requested them specifically by race. Everyone involved in running this lucrative system profited from
contracts. They got a lot to pay for. They requested. No, I don't want. I just want Negroes. This is Ezekiel 35:5, and it reads, "Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, and in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end," because they were supposed to let us go after slavery. And the crazy thing is that during this time when this was going on, Jacob still rose to the occasion and had neighborhoods and businesses and things going on in his country, invented most of the important things around that time as well that people are still using to this day, and had cities and neighborhoods that were actually doing better than so-called white people here in America who were educated. And the reason that being is because Jake came off the plantations where they were forced to work. So they knew how to build and how to do all the things because they were forced to do it anyway. So when they were left alone, they prospered. And then through hatred, they went around and they burned all those towns down. Built roads through them, flooded them out, built right over them as if they never existed. Took the land, took the homes from the people, and just shared it among themselves. All right? This is actual history. These things really happen, Look up all the drowned towns. Just look it up. Everyone knows the history of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that wasn't even the greatest one. According to history, there were a couple different settlements of so-called Negroes down in the Carolinas that were outdid Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the Black Belt here in Chicago, and those were two. And the Black Belt here in Chicago was exquisite. It was famously successful. All right, but they destroyed it and built the Dan Ryan Expressway right through it. All right. Then what happened? Then what came after that? Women's rights, which was really a ploy just to destroy the so-called black family even worse. Because we today, people my age, we're the first children of those single household families where the man was driven out, and the woman was given all kind of government goodies and subsidies to keep him away. And so we either grew up with that single mom household and look at all these and look at what that got you. That destroyed the family structure, and so the prisons are full of our people. But it was all a plan by Esau, Edom, all right, because of that perpetual hatred. But here, let's let their tongue fall upon themselves a little bit more. And it's always their women that's because I keep saying that women gravitate toward power, and the so-called white woman knows deep down that it's over for her men. That's why so many of them are with Jake. All right? And sharing them on top of that.
Forcing these prisoners to work under inhumane conditions that looked a lot like slavery. The 13th Amendment was turned into a tool for re-enslavement. More than a century after a quiet ending of Texas convict leasing system in 1912, a field in a prosperous Texas suburb would bring this forgotten history to life.
Story out of Sugarland, where a construction site has turned into an excavation site. Crews working on a...
In February